Hello and welcome back to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. Back to look at another weekend of upcoming Scottish Premiership action as the Premiership returns after an action-packed week and a bit of Scottish football action. We've had the League Cup fixtures taking place during the international break for the first time, which is just added to the already busy calendar with 3 Scottish international games inside the 6 days. A very prosperous few games for the national team, winning 3 in a row, booking a place at the Euro 2020 playoff finals and going one step closer to winning the Nations League group, which could have potential prizes in terms of Euro 2024 qualification and World Cup 2022 qualification. So a very good week for the Scotland national team and a busy week as well for some domestic clubs as well, excluding the ones that had played in Europe who got a wee break. But we're back to Premiership action this week as well as the full return of the Championship, League One and League Two. So we'll look at the fixtures that we have in store. There's one particular game in Glasgow that we're not going to discuss here, but we've got another full card of Premiership action as well. And the big games of the weekend here on Not the Old Firm. Please do remember to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and watch our other content we have up on the site as well. We've got plenty of stuff going on. We've got this preview. We've had reaction to the Scotland games. We had an exclusive interview as well with former Hibs man Tommy Block as well. So please do check all that out. I'll get right into the action then. Dundee United versus Aberdeen is the first game we're going to look at. It's a very tantalising game, this. You know, Mickey Mellon's team on a bit of a shaky patch now. I think it's fair to say the honeymoon period is over for him at Tannadice after a pretty unconvincing League Cup run. It started so well, a 6-2 victory in their opening match against Brecon City. Whilst Brecon haven't been great in recent years, it was a morale-boosting one all the same for Mickey Mellon's side. But the wheels sort of fell off when they returned to Tannadice. A defeat to Peterhead was a real sore one for them, and questions were asked of the Dundee United team and Mellon's tactics after this one. And they bounced back from that with a win, but it was an unconvincing one. A 1-0 win over Lowland League side Kelty Hearts, just about seeing them return to winning ways, which obviously results to the main thing. But Dundee United fans not happy with the recent results and performances from their side, and they'll look for a reaction against an Aberdeen side who, over the course of this season overall, have looked extremely strong. Derek McInnes' side really playing some nice football. Had a few players away on international break as well. It'll be interesting to see how that affects them. Overall, their squad's been rested up for the last couple of weeks. So could that be an advantage? We'll see. But Aberdeen certainly go into this domestically in a bit better form than Dundee United. Dundee United in dire need of a performance. One thing that could boost them is the return of Lawrence Shankland, and for the first time as well, a partnership with Mark McNulty. It could be a real good one for them. I mean, Mark McNulty has shown up here with Hibs and also with Livingston that he can be a real threat. His time at Reading perhaps not quite working for him the way he would like it to, but all the same, I think anybody outside the Celtic and Rangers would happily take those two as their front pairing. So Dundee United will be glad they've got them, and they've got a couple new boys in as well. Be interested to see if they fit in. The other game next on our list is Hamilton versus St Johnstone. It's a really big one, this at the bottom. Both sides and really could be doing with a win over each other. Look like they're going to be down that neck of the woods this season based on the early games so far. And Brian Rice's side, Aki's fans again, a bit discontent with the manager. Obviously, 3-1 defeat to Annan Athletic in the League Cup didn't go down too well. But then against Ayr United, whilst they bounced back to winning ways, it was a good morale boosting victory. Again, wasn't all that convincing, and some Aki's fans as well weren't too happy with some of Rice's comments post-match. So he could really be doing with a win to get the fans sort of back on side in this one. And for St Johnstone, it's a really big one. The goal scoring in the Premiership has been a bit of a struggle for them, but they did return to goal scoring form, a 7-0 win over Brecon City. Poor Brecon, Dundee United and St Johnstone sort of giving them a real hard time. But nonetheless, regardless of opposition, scoring 7 against anybody, a hat-trick for Stevie May as well. It's a real big one for him, regardless of opposition. I'll be interested to see if he can carry out that form into Premiership action. But this is a really big one at the bottom and one to keep an eye on. Livingston versus Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock, this is one with a bit of edge to it. Kilmarnock probably still going to be missing some key players in this one, having watched them myself on Tuesday night against Dunfermline in the League Cup. They lost 3-0. a lot of young boys playing there. And after the game, Gary Dicker was speaking, and he was wanting a wee bit more help ahead of the clash with the Lions.
Sort of players they've a lot to be proud of. Coming in short notice. I think that I thought they done great. Hopefully they get another few chances in the game coming up. I don't think they could have played 11 on their own out there. I had a few articles, people being a bit deluded. They're not reserve players. The youth team players, they've not even played a reserve game. Probably one or two that played in the reserve, so people screaming saying you've got players. You need a head check a bit. I think a lot of lads physically aren't ready to play. So the ones that did come on and play, I'm delighted for them. They all got to count themselves and hopefully to get many more appearances. I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. Why you're being asked to put people at risk. Even tonight, we had one training session. We expected to play 90 minutes and then they've got the rest coming out of isolation and they're expecting people to have 2 days training, so common sense. I think everyone's crying out for it. People are talking about the government having common sense. I think everyone needs a bit of common sense. I think you ask anyone that's playing sport, whether it's elite or grassroots, everyone knows you need to build up your fitness again. You've been stuck inside, not being able to exercise, you're not allowed to exercise with the virus, so I don't understand why they give them rebranding 2 days later straight into a game. So listen, we'll deal with it. We've got it, but common sense from those, right? Yeah. When you see Ronaldo, he put up a picture last night. Yeah. Wonder if the Portuguese are getting investigated, as we are. I said it down there and I'll touch on it again. The medical team here in the club, they've been brilliant with the boys. The protocols we have here, you know yourself coming in here. Nobody's done anything wrong. They're looking for the million. You're not going to get one in here because, as I said, we are living like monks. You're coming in, you're training, you're going home. You have to go to the shop. That's all. That's the only place people are going.
Gary Dicker was one of 5 or 6 senior players to play against Dunfermline. Chris Burke, Colin Doyle, Nicky Kabamba was another one. So they did have senior players in this squad against the Pars, but 12 of the 18 were all academy players, most of which have never played a senior minute. Gary Dicker also saying that they haven't really played a minute at reserve level, some of them, never mind senior level. So going to a really tough away ground like Livingston, a team who have hit a bit of form in the League Cup, they've won all their games pretty comfortably. They won their league games as well prior to that. They're on a good winning run just now, so obviously there may be harder tasks in terms of they've not got a trip to Ibrox or Celtic Park or anything like that, but Livingston is a very, very difficult fixture, probably the away ground you don't want to go to outside of Celtic Rangers based on the past couple of seasons and the way they play. They are both on the deck because they're very, very good passing wise, and obviously it's well known about their physical style, although they perhaps don't get as much praise these days for how well they play technically. But Kilmarnock is interesting to see how they cope. The players were back. They are back in training. All those who were in isolation, all those who tested positive, however, being in isolation for 2 weeks, 10 days, some of them. Can they really get back to the fitness levels they were at? It could take a few weeks. It's a shame for them as well because they had hit good form, Nicky Kabamba especially, and a call up to the DR Congo squad before all the COVID shenanigans happened against Motherwell and that game is postponed. Still to be determined when that game could be played again. But Kilmarnock are probably going to be a bit disadvantaged again this week. Even if they name a full 11, they're going to be nowhere near as fit as Livingston given the circumstances, which is understandable. And it'll be a real frustrating one for Alex Dyer given how well his side had been playing prior to this. But Gary Holt's men perhaps seeking an opportunity to claim another 3 points. Ross County versus Hibernian is next. Hibs in really good form. They look like the third force in Scotland this season by quite a distance. Maybe Aberdeen closing in on them a wee bit as well. But in terms of overall impressiveness, I think Hibs have been the one. Ross County, again, weren't all that convincing in the League Cup. They got there in the end. They were winning 3-0 against Montrose. They were pegged back to 3 each. 2-1 win over Arbroath, just about got over the line. So it hasn't been ideal, but they haven't lost in horrific fashion either. So it's not all doom and gloom for Stuart Kettle's men, but he will be looking for better performances, and they'll need to be better against a rampant Jack Ross side just now, who, again, they stuttered really through their games in the League Cup, didn't really put away the likes of Forfar, Cove Rangers and Broder Rangers quite the way some people would have expected them to, but that was understandable as well, given they had literally a full squad's worth of players away on international duty in isolation, in the case of Josh Doy because of the Scotland under-19s coronavirus situation. And as well as that, they had other players in the international scene, Paul McGinn, Ryan Porteous, Paul Hanlon, all in the senior Scotland squad. For example, Ophir Marciano away with Israel. That was just a few of the players. So they'll be back up to a full tilt of players this weekend. But again, given how many of them were away in international duty, given how demanding this period was, albeit some of them didn't play. Paul Hanlon played 10 minutes in the last game against Czech Republic. Paul McGinn and Ryan Porteous never got off the bench, but they've still been away training, and it's obviously been quite intensive for them this week. So it'll be intriguing to see how Hibs do in that one, but Hibs will go there as favourites and expected to get a decent result over the Staggies. And finally, in this card of games for this weekend, it's St Mirren versus Motherwell. St Mirren hit with COVID problems again. It just seems like every video we do, every press conference we go to, in every match, COVID is the talking point. And it was the same again for St Mirren this week. 2 positive cases at Paisley as well, and one person in isolation. All players undetermined as of yet, but according to Jim Goodwin, it'll become obvious on Saturday afternoon who the players are.
Yeah, well, I mean, the boys are fine. Really symptomatic, so there's nobody feeling under the weather or anything like that. Just obviously had the positive results to the test on Monday, and since then the guys have been in isolation. And every manager out there will tell you that we're all desperate just to get back talking about football. And it's every week it's a different conversation with the doctor about a different person, and it's really it's really hard to plan any great deal in front, to be honest. So we just work week to week, as with the rest of the teams out there. You're always nervous on a Monday when the test is getting done, and then you're hoping that you get a text message from the doctor to say that everything is fine. But when I see her name coming up on my phone and she's ringing me, then I know it's a problem. And that was the case Monday evening, unfortunately. And obviously I know we're not naming the players right now at the moment, but it'll probably be quite obvious to everyone once the weekend comes around. But you'll see that 2 out of the 3 players are big players for us and have made a difference in recent weeks. It's going to be a blow to lose them, but look, we just have to deal with it as best we can.
Speaking as well ahead of the game was Jamie McGrath. Started fairly well in Paisley. It's been a rough start. I mean, all things considered, personally, I can only imagine moving over from Ireland just before lockdown, being stuck in the house all that time, and now as well facing additional restrictions here in Scotland. But he is looking forward to the weekend match.
Obviously, the time we're in, there's going to be uncertainty and a lot of disruption, but it's one of those things where you just have to get on with it. It's like playing in front of an empty stadium. You just have to adapt, and it's uncertain times. Like I said, you're not used to the things that are going on, but it's how quickly you adapt and react is all important, and that's what we've done so far, to be fair. And it's not the first time this has happened to us, so we just have to adapt. You try your best to outside train and not to kind of interact with people. Give yourself the best chance of not picking it up, but sometimes it's kind of beyond your means. And if that was the case, the whole country would be virus free. It's just one of those things at the minute, but you have to give yourself the best chance to stay virus free. So obviously we come in every week and get tested, and you don't want to get that text to say that you have to isolate or whatever, but it is what it is. It's just one of those things. Big fixtures coming up, and we know we have to get our form back in the league. We started off very well, but the results haven't been good enough since. So we're seeing this as a good few fixtures to try get points on the board, and we have come through the cup with 2 wins, albeit 1 on pens, but we've come through 2 very difficult fixtures, and that will only help us in confidence.
In the Mull camp ahead of this game, Stephen Robinson's been speaking. His side have been off for the past 3 weeks, but like Hibs, have had many players on international duty. Stephen O'Donnell and Declan Gallagher in particular put through their paces. 2 of 4 Scotland players to play every single minute, there or thereabouts. Stephen O'Donnell being taken off for 1 minute against Israel. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. But Stephen Robinson's calling for a bit of help from the authorities on giving his players and other players at other clubs more time to recover from these triple headers of international matches.
We just saying we're looking forward to getting back to business again. You know, it's been a long 3 weeks. Obviously with the game being cancelled. What we have to weigh up now is, you know, the boys that came back, great for them, unprecedented, 3 games in 6 days, was it? You know, so for my concern now is, Declan will be fine because of the position he plays in. There's not loads of running, especially in the middle of the 3. Stephen's a concern for me because the amount of minutes he's had, and that's certainly not a criticism of anybody. That's just the way the football world is at the minute. We have to fit those games in, but maybe the authorities could look and give us an extra day to allow those international boys to recover. You know, why are we not playing on a Sunday? To give them an extra day. We've done it with Scotland to try and get games on the Friday night to give Scotland an extra chance. So, you would be hoping that would be replicated, especially on the next occasion in November, because we're all learning as we go in this. So, I'm delighted for the boys, but it's a decision. Can they go again for us on Saturday with the same intensity and same desire? And the one concern would be Stephen. So we'll look at him in terms of training today and tomorrow morning and see where we are. Yeah, and I think everybody has to help each other, and certainly that suggestion of an extra day would give me an extra 24 hours to allow Stephen to recover and Decky to recover, Trevor to recover a little bit more as well. Barry McGrath, who played on the Tuesday, so that's not as bad. But I think common sense approach to everything, and you help each other. Listen, there's nobody more delighted for the boys when they play and more proud than them than I am. So, we encourage that. We actively encourage it. We work alongside all the national squads. So it's, if you work together, life's a lot easier.
We also heard from Declan Gallagher, Mull captain and toast of the nation right now for Scotland. And previous couple of performances from him, first of all against Israel, where he kept a clean sheet, and then the next 2 games he went on to build on that with another couple. So really good performances from him, and he's been speaking ahead of the return to the domestic scene against them.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I think everybody knows how good the club is for getting young boys through the system. It's been a while since I've been called a young boy, so I appreciate that. But, no, definitely, as I've said before in many interviews, I thank the club for the call-ups that I've got. They've helped me massively, they've helped my game massively, and obviously that comes down to obviously the gaffer and the coach. See, to be honest, I don't really think too much about it. I try not to think about the golf and class and stuff. Obviously, I'm playing against world-class players that are playing for their country, but I try not to see about it. At the end of the day, a lot of the boys here, obviously Trevor Castle in Northern Ireland, Alan Campbell, Barry McGrath with the 21s of Scotland, so it's a good standard of player here as well. So, but no, as I said, I'm just delighted to be a part of the squad, and I was obviously delighted to play the 3 games. Yeah, definitely, because obviously I think a few seasons ago I was playing League One with Livingston, obviously working my way through the divisions in Scotland, so to then say that I'm a Scotland internationalist and I've been in the last 4 camps and played the last 3 games, I think that's 5 caps I've got now and unbeaten in all 5, so if you told me that when I was playing back against Airdrie at Livingston, I probably wouldn't have believed you, but no, it's been great, and it's a highlight in my career.
So that's all we've got time for on this episode. We hope you have enjoyed. Do stick around because we'll have the reviews to come over the weekend as well with plenty of reaction. We'll be at 3 games over the course of the weekend, those being Hamilton versus St Johnstone, Livingston versus Kilmarnock and St Mirren v Motherwell. So you can expect interviews and reactions on the website and on our review show on Sunday evening. As well as that, we'll be in the Championship as well. Ayr United's first home game against Queen of the South. An interesting one that with Alan Johnson's side having to curtail all their backroom staff for this one. Alan Johnson himself and the Queen of the South backroom staff not travelling to Somerset Park due to COVID-19 cases. And Dunfermline versus Inverness is our other game as well, as the Park look to build on their impressive League Cup run against Inverness, who have had a real building job over the summer, but again will be strong opposition in this year's Championship. So that's what we've got coming over the weekend, as well as more interviews next week, previews, reviews, as well as a really one that I'm quite excited to put out, exclusive interview with a former Kilmarnock player, a really interesting and insightful interview that. So you don't want to miss that one when it comes out on the channel. But that's all I've got time for today. Until next time, take it easy.